for all this child abduction and trafficking throughout the United Kingdom. And we're not just talking about the structure in Britain, we're talking about the mass implementation of this throughout the British Commonwealth countries. You think that we are just having this problem here in England, to Scotland, to Wales, to Ireland, where we're told that adoption is not as vast as it is right here on our doorstep. Yeah? It is happening everywhere in our United Kingdom Commonwealth. They are basically exploiting families for money. This has become basically a seedy, greedy setting for extra income for social workers to actually poison them, to make them become anything than integral and moral. It has basically brought down the foundations. I will come back to what I was just saying, but I'm going to say this. To anyone who is posting this, to any social worker who gets to see this, and especially if you work in children and families, you call children and families social care. That's exactly what it's
They're the culprits.
Where are you working with these families? I've had social worker, team leader after team leader say they have worked with us. They haven't even referred us. They haven't even implemented anything that would actually help my children's mum, my eldest daughter, my youngest children, or myself. Now, I know that these parents are being persecuted, and I know it because I'm experiencing it. The abuse that is placed on the individual is vast. It has basically been put on me for over 9 years and my family. So I know. So I can say what I'm saying with honesty and truth and integrity throughout. Because I am an experienced hand at this, and I have listened to parent after parent after parent over 9 years. If that ain't long enough, when an hour is a long time, what is? I have basically listened, I have learned, I have understood that this is textbook. This is designed. It has been, the social services has been spiked. It has been spiked because they've seen opportunity. They have exploited the positions of trust in public office. Yes? Misconduct in public office is a very serious offence indeed. Now you have to ask, why are these individuals not being brought in to any tribunal service, to any inner London or inner county courts, yeah? Civil process or criminal process? Why not? They are basically exploited to steal your children. The longer your children, your grandchildren are in this system, the harder it's going to be for you to get your kids back. The only way forward is to keep trying to find the courage. You've got to. I know how hard it is. I struggled. I forgot that today is the day. I thought we were doing this tomorrow. They basically do what I call microwave syndrome to your brain, to the point that your memory is impacted, and it is so hard on you that you struggle to get up, to go to bed at the reasonable times that we should be going to bed, and then get up to start a day. You struggle, but you have to find the courage, you have to find the determination, and I've done that. At 3 o'clock this afternoon, I was still in bed. I turned my phone on, which I rarely take my phone off, but because it's been getting so much lately that I cannot shut off, because of all this trauma that they're putting on, right from the head of services in Glasgow South, Janet McAloon, yeah, now on my case, using emotional blackmail. Alright? My children, not their children, not anyone else's children, but my children, as your children, your grandchildren, aunts and uncles, your nephews and nieces, they are. Yeah? Your siblings, brothers and sisters, they're your flesh and blood. They're no one else's flesh and blood. No one is ever going to take away from any one of you your status as a parent or a grandparent or as a brother or sister or an aunt or uncle. No one. You know why? Because we know that we have not done a crime. We know we have no intent against our children or our grandchildren. These people had every intent because they basically are all interdepartmental, connected, cooperative, compliant, yeah? Collusion state. That's what we'll call it. It's a collusion state. The money that is basically changing hands here from one department to the other is even more the reason for why they are so hard on you and hell-bent on doing what they're doing to your children and your grandchildren. These so-called caring professionals called social workers, if you're hearing this, if you ain't one of the very people that is doing this for extra income from your performance bonus and your bonus scheme, but you know that your colleagues are doing this, and in turn attacking family after family, bringing teenage brothers and sisters to the point of committing suicide, and those that when they start to reach the age of understanding that are being in foster care for so long, or in so-called adoption homes, you are putting those very kids and their futures in peril. Not us as parents. You, as so-called caring professionals, are doing this. And how dare you think you're a judge? Even the so-called people that sit up on the benches in here that call themselves judges.
Absolute scumbags! Scum!
Let's get a judicial process that is fit for purpose, that will actually have 12 of your peers sit there. You've got nothing to hide. You turn around and say, I want 12 of my peers to hear what's been going on to my family and me. Yeah?
Bring juries into the family court.
Yeah? Turn around and actually make a decision. Yeah? Fair is what we're supposed to receive. Fair hearings, fair trials.
It's 13 but 12 selected from the 13.
Where is the democracy in this country? They have these people that are corporates. They sit there pretending that they actually had the time served experience or that of being a professional judge. Who are they? Ask who these people are. What name are you? Who are you?
That way, I had that discussion when there ain't no live feeds going on.
They are all crossing the street. The social worker, Ian McLeod, you scumbag, you immoral, corrupt individual, trying to buy me as well. Trying to buy me gratis for my silence. It ain't happened. And it won't. Yeah?
No. Keep your voice as social as everyone else.
They leave you at night, yeah, basically facing four walls and you can't switch off, you can't sleep. And I know parents that are here that are going through that same turmoil. But you know what? We are here despite the impact it's having on us, because that's why. Because we know we love our children immensely. We know we will do what we can for our children. Within good reason, because we're not here to break the law. If we was here to be incarcerated, and we would have been incarcerated a long time ago, wouldn't we?
No, Leanne, we are at the Central Family Court in High Holborn. Yeah? That's Central Family Court. I'll blow it up for you just so you can see it. We're at High Holborn. Let alone put into a judicial process, because there was no reason to forward onto the CPS. There was no reason to put us in the courts. Yeah? But a civil process. And because I carried the cross to protect my family, and I'm going to go fucking public. I'm going to go public. But try to put 9 years of this abuses into 10 minutes, into an hour or two. You cannot. I've been on this mic for 3 and 4 hours. I have not got the actual privilege to do that. We all got stories of our experiences to tell if we choose to stay here and talk about it. But I won't be silenced. And I'm not going to be silenced by no head of services. How dare you, Janet McClure, think that you and your department are going to come and attack a parent, yeah? I basically was willing to lay my life down on the line for this country and all you people, yeah? All you parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters, yeah? Because I am basically a believer in the Lord, Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
And I believe that the righteous path is right here. We are the righteous path and we will succeed. As long as we have people standing by one another, yeah, and willing to do what is right, which is part of the fabric of this so-called country called Great Britain, we will be triumphant. We will succeed. We will not lose.
We won't stop until we do.
Every multi-noon night, as Billy, here for every single one of you out there. There's a population of about 64.5 million people in Britain. But how many of you are out there? How many of you are going through it? How many of you have been going through it, still living it, even if the case is actually concluded? How many of you will go through this? Because this can happen to any one of us. It doesn't matter what you do for a living. The only reason why they don't do this in vast
No one's immune to it.
to the middle class and the upper class and the established order amongst them is because friends have friends in high places.
And they're all part of it.
Sorry?
They're all part of it.
There is people listening to this that are not going through this. People, citizens of Great Britain, of the British.
Guys, get this shared out absolutely everywhere, please. Every single group you can. I'll share later, but I'll probably get another Facebook ban again.
Yeah, because the moment I tell one lie, that means I'm distrusted. The moment I'm detected, I'm distrusted. Anything else I say will never be relied upon. So that's why I won't lie.
I know how we can stop.
I'm telling you this. As a citizen of this nation, as a former serving member
If you sitting there,
of the Nation's Armed Forces and working alongside the Metropolitan Police mainly and other forces here and there. And as basically a father to us, this is one of the most heinous settings now, and it is so upsetting. Yeah? I'm not proud to actually call myself English, let alone British. Because they have basically derailed everything the generations have paved the way for. Three of my grandparents alone served in the Second World War. Yeah, me and my dad both basically signed up. I'm ex-Royal Signals, my dad ex-Royal Green Jackets. Yeah, we've got a history in service. Yeah, don't have to be a life server of 15, 20 years of service to be counted for what you have actually participated and actually benefited from. But I will tell you this, these people and the setting of these actual elitists do what they do to the actual lower class and the working class because it's easy to do it. Because you don't get legal wage, you haven't got the income. The majority of us end up doing these cases going on legal aid by having basically, thank you, good night, God bless. Yeah, it's 5 o'clock, see that? I take it's 5 o'clock on the dot.
yeah, I'd say it's 5 o'clock.
We only get paid up to 5 o'clock, so we'll do as much damage as we can between 9 and 5, yeah? Thank you very much for being such a fucking corrupt part of this nation.
Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you!
Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you!
Coming back here, and we're going to keep doing what we're doing, but I put a call out to everyone.
It's only
It's not
4:30.
just one individual's
Oh, it's
duty.
4:30.
It's
Look,
not
the
just
other
2
door
or
there,
4 or 5 or 20 of us with the duty. It's everyone's duty to the vulnerable.
They've only
it's
shut
anyone
that
over
one
the
down.
age of 16.
Should we move down?
They haven't actually shut the doors for exit there, have they? Come on, let's take it down. Shame on you!
Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you!
Another part we'll come to is children that are being brought up by families with good upbringing before they end up getting taken into so-called foster care and adoptive care. Those children are more desirable than children that are wayward,
take a seat, Gav.
that are hard to help.
You're going to take a seat.
The children that are very
You love doing
good,
it, don't you?
especially babies.
They can't
because
move you once you do it.
babies are fresh. You bring a baby up how you want. They're fresh. And as Billy says,
Take a seat.
basically, if you look at a puppy, yeah, you train a puppy to how you want that puppy to be, yeah. This is what the so-called middle class, upper class people do with our kids. They train them to how they want them to be, rather than be children. They're changing their whole path. Babies, from what I've learned,
already, whilst in the womb, develop an actual path, their future. They develop their emotional state. These people are altering your child's emotional state. Yeah, and babies, especially, are lucrative. They are a commodity, unfortunately. I have to use the word commodity, because that's exactly what they've become, a commodity.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Not worth it. Not worth it. Not worth it. Not worth it. No, you're not shouting.
Shame on you!
No, you're not shouting.
How's it feel to know that you basically come here with the licence? You have to obviously have a security industry authority licence in place. I can see your colleague. Right, I can see your colleague. Touch it.
Hey, big man. Go on. Hey, wake me after work. Come out here. Come out here.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you for being part of the complicit state of protecting the very people who are behind the corruption and the active collusion of abducting children in this so-called country called Great Britain.
Someone's sneaking out the side door, is it?
Hello, sir. I wonder if you sit on the actual thing.
Are you a judge, sir? Are you a judge? I wonder if you're a judge. Are you a Mason?
Actually are happy with what your colleagues, maybe yourself, are complicit with doing towards families that sees blood on the hands of you all when mums and dads take their life and teenagers' siblings.
Right.
There is so much to talk about, so much to say, because what these people are doing to each and every one of us, and our children especially, your grandchildren, is
He's a
beyond
judge.
it's immense. No one will be able to understand why we feel the way we feel unless they go through it themselves. So as I was trying to say to every single citizen
Do that,
of this
you're not on the
country
list.
that gets to hear this, you have to understand what we are doing is as the last stand of this generation. They are basically poisoning the minds of this current generation to be ultimately complicit with their mind control, social mind control. They want you to be ultimately compliant. The modern citizen who does as he or she is told by understanding what is expected of you. If you actually think that this is the nation that will sit down and just take all this on the chin after our families went through 6 years of the blitz of losing family members going to fight to stop an oppressor, you've got another thing coming, mate. Because you lot, and sir, you at the bus stop, if you are part of that, you are basically part of an oppressive dictatorship.
This guy over there, people, if he's a judge, if he's a judge,
Have someone like Hitler do what he done to 6 million people and that not be accepted, why is it acceptable to be killing off parents and elder siblings, family by family? Family by family, because that's exactly what is happening. Social services are being spoken, you know it, your colleagues know it, to do what they're doing. They have blood on their hands, and if you support their reports, their doctrines reports, supplying information that they want you to actually be guided by, then you are being led like a sheep and a fool with it.
They shut at 5 o'clock, not 4:30. They sit till 5 o'clock for the judges.
I know.
They sit till 5.
I know, but they.
In criminal court, in civil court, family court, just sit.
I can tell you, I was told last night by a former colleague, well, he's still a colleague, but he's not working within the same group that I operation to.
I was so tempted to give him a clout, though.
He told me that there are 2 6-year-old boys, they're twins.
as a duty of care, he has a responsibility to be a senior manager for a network. I'm not going to name him or the network, but it's a railway network. These two boys apparently have been trying to get along the tracks. They somehow, geniusly, know how to interconnect between train stations and trains to get to the points. Their destination is to try to get to the Channel and get through to France. These are two 6-year-old boys. Apparently, for the last year alone, social services and the police have been relentlessly involved. Thank you. They've been relentlessly involved with the family. The family don't feel they can do anything really about it, the parents.
I hope no one's got me.
But yet they still go to the same kind of process like sleep behind
Got me.
They then end up successfully having the children returned to them. Now, those children, unfortunately, the story of this actual explanation is to emphasise the need for service, the need for protection, right? So I want to come back to the actual social
Katrina, this is live in London.
These children are clearly at risk of getting killed on a national rail network and have been at risk for the best part of a year. There has been numerous attempts of them getting on the network and then walking along railway lines with high-speed trains passing by. These are 6-year-olds. It starts making you worry about another situation like what we saw with Jamie Folger. Yeah? These kids, yeah, are not able to be brought up apparently by their parents. It's not for me to criticise or judge whether they can or cannot. It's suggested to me that that's what's happening. So the question you have to ask yourself is, as a duty of care, why have they not been able to successfully prevent these children coming into harm's way on the railway network again?
Gav, you want to go to Leicester Square after you?
Be it having them placed into care if that is going to be the long-term answer.
I've walked it loads of times.
Because they are clearly, in my mind, the children that need to be given that support and protection if they are at risk.
That's what I'm saying.
If a family is admitting that they cannot control two 6-year-olds,
Just round the corner, that's what I was just saying.
then something surely has to be done. Surely you cannot carry on like that, because there is going to be a fatality. That is the high risk to these kids. Now you have to ask yourself, is it because these kids are waiving at the age of 6 already that they cannot place them with a long-term foster carer? They keep getting bounced from one placement back home, from another placement.
It's hard to
back
behave
home.
yourself in them situations.
So we have to ask ourselves about the need for social services.
So much, it's hard to...
And this is my point I'm going to put out there to any social worker in your so-called capacity of social care. Whilst you, through whatever your incentive is, and I know I made enemies from a very early age with social workers, and there's nothing worse than putting the actual sting in the scorpion's tail. That makes them work harder, even more, threefold against you. But on the basis of them entering into a family's world and then starting to mix the report, take out of context what you say to them, amplify it, exaggerate, even tell non-truths, lies. And that seems to be across the board. From what I'm hearing, 8 out of 10 parents, I would say over 9 years, are not lying about what they're going through in their family. They are telling it as it is. The social work department are guiding their workers to tell non-truths. They're called lies, mate. And if you're willing to tell lies when you're supposed to be in a professional setting of social care for children, you are despicable. Because if you are going to do that, what you are then doing is working against families that you do not need to really be investing your ultimate time into. Whilst you invest as social workers your ultimate time into each of these cases where you're mixing it with the parents, where you're exaggerating circumstances, where you're basically manufacturing information as well, You mixing it with those parents, yeah, are diverting your freedom and your availability, therefore, to the very families that are at risk. That might be 3 children that might be at risk from one of the parents, or maybe an uncle or an aunt in that family. Whilst you are mixing it with everyone else's family who do not deserve to be abused the way that you are abusing us, yeah? You are not available to be looking out for the very children that you all now have blood on your hands for again during the course of this last couple of weeks. You basically are diverting your attentions away. Why? Because you're spite. You cannot. And Janet McClue, so-called head of many services in Glasgow South, you know as well as I do that there's performance bonus scheme, yeah? Performance bonuses and bonus schemes does exist. We
proved it.
Proof.
We've proved it.
It exists. And we know. You're never going to change my mind about that because the proof is there. Yeah? So again, it's another part of your little collusion state. And turning around and stating in a video that she and her actual family are social workers. We're going to go to Leicester Square.
We're going to head to Leicester Square, mate.
They are basically the bee's knees in her eyes. They cannot do no wrong. Not one of them can be seen to be putting a foot out of place. And that's just in Glasgow South alone. That's not the rest of the country, let alone Ireland, to Wales. So someone like that is willing to protect immoral conduct. Well, immoral conduct can come under gross misconduct. And if you are committing gross misconduct in public office, it is also arrestable. And you also can be tried, and if found guilty, imprisoned for misconduct in public office. Do a little Google research, yeah? These very people are all working with one another for gratis, for good reason they are doing what they're doing to each and every one of your families and you. Because there is a lot to be made from it, and when you learn what I've learned, I knew stuff well before this happened to me. I just thought it was rumours, I thought it was basically isolated cases. I'm going to fucking tell you. Diplomatic Protection Group police officers from the so-called greatest institution of the police force of this world share amongst themselves information. Just as I will reiterate what you just may have read about Boris and Co. with their parties. All these arm-to-the-teeth constables that you see at Downing Street all turned a blind eye to them committing criminal offences during lockdowns, right? So why would they not be complicit in turning a blind eye to Buckingham Palace, to Windsor, to Balmoral Castle, where we know there is basically a Masonic temple on the grounds? Why would they not? These Diplomatic Protection Group constables, considering from the age of 18, and I'm 49 in April, it's a long time. I've known a lot of people over a long time of my life. I will talk to anyone. It doesn't matter if you are basically living on the street. I will talk to you. If I've got money in my pocket and I can give it to you, I will. I will help you. I talk to everyone. That's how I get to know what I get to know. And you know the best way to get to learn is when you have a dog and you walk around places and you talk. Freedom of speech is in this country. We're going to protect it. It's within our freedoms, within our constitution, just like our constitutional rights. That's what we're going to do. Diplomatic Protection Group police officers from the Metropolitan Police in my early days told me about the royal family. What I've learned about SRA, satanic ritual abuse, is what that is. If I was to tell you what I know, you wouldn't sleep on top of not sleeping already at night with what's going on with you and your children and your family.
It's a shame you couldn't be here today, Clary. I know you was ill, mate.
They talk amongst themselves and I encourage
There's always next time.
I encourage it still to this day. Any copper worth his weight or her weight speak amongst yourselves. Stop holding all this information in about what you know they are doing, the elites, what your senior, top-ranking brass are doing. If you don't think it's right, that job ain't for you anymore. If you think it's worth holding on to 35k, going up to 40k over your actual service, yeah, then I hope nothing really truly happens to you, because I believe in karma. Right?
Yeah.
And if you're going to stand by
They're gonna
corruption,
burn in hell.
sworn oath, yeah, to uphold the law of this land under common law, not bloody, not the corporate setting of it, a constitutional law. Yeah, you took an oath to actually uphold the Queen's peace, to preserve it, and that is to protect with it as well. Preservation of life.
The only people they protect paedophiles.
They protect those like them, paedophiles, that are basically pulling their strings. But if you don't believe that that is right, then maybe it's time to actually hang up your handcuffs, hold your warrant card for one last time, take a good look, and tell yourself why you're handing it in. Because it ain't worth protecting this state. It ain't worth it. Because at the end of the day, mate, you've got to live with that for the rest of your lives. Watch out, ladies and gents. Just let this lady come through, please. Thank you. Anyone that takes a position of trust in public office must take a declaration or an oath. Yeah? You're meant to stand by that, you're meant to be integral and moral, and especially you social workers. How dare you do what you are doing to the family fabric of Great Britain, to our United Kingdom, our Commonwealth countries. How dare you? This is happening right into Australia, yeah? Right into everywhere. America's rife with it. Right? Canada, New Zealand's no different. Any part of our actual Commonwealth, they are taking the absolute. They are killing off everyone. They're not, even if you don't commit suicide, yeah, they're still killing you inside.
Yes.
Mentally, physically, it's killing you.
Suicide is called. Secondary suicide.
It's draining the life out of you.
5G.
What?
I've just been told
Up there.
what I can and cannot do. What, so I give cards to my children. I cannot say, I'm always thinking of you, I will always love you. Daddy misses you. Apparently it's bad. It's bad. A mum, we're going to wrap it up and go to Leicester Square in a minute. I'm going to quickly tell you about a mum. Lovely lady, yeah. She's become anorexic. Right? And it is hard to watch. It's hard to see. She tries to improve herself. It looks like she's getting better. But you see, it looks like she goes back downhill. She gave a pillow to her child with a picture of her and her son on it. He loved it. Do you know what happened a little while after? They denied him having that actual pillow. This is the narcissism behind it. They denied him having that pillow. They gave her a thorough dressing down thereafter about the impact that she may well have on him by giving him this, how emotional it may make it. You know why they don't want that child to become emotional? Because it comes back to what I said earlier about children that are so well behaved against those that are wayward. They want the well behaved children. They don't know what to do with the wayward children, but they use another pipeline for them, and I will not go into that, not on this setting. I may in SRA, I may do that when I next come to meet Jeanette, but they have another pipeline, yeah, for our children. You heard Jane turn around and tell you candidly earlier what they have been doing in part with our children for research, medical research. But I'll spare you the rest. That mum and that child are being denied the right to exist between one another.
What for?
They want that severing of a relationship because they want that child, that boy, to adapt a relationship with the future adoptee, if that's what it's going to go. Yeah, he's with fosterers, yeah? So clearly at the moment, they're the people they want him to invest his focus on, not his mum. He's sick. He's sick. Every one of you, yeah,
I've just spent 60 quid
But
on
the
it again.
teenagers
won't mess it up. I won't rip
today
it.
are living proof of why we have got to keep doing this.
But I need
And
it
the
for some other
faces,
things that I'm up to.
some of you remain to be
Yeah, I'll explain to you when I'm off
and
this.
there are new faces
I am up to
every
other
time
things,
I
though.
come out. It is showing that more and more of you have the courage to do this, come out and stand up.
What, you being
One of my friends here has come all the way
Not
from
tomorrow,
Wales.
but I'm
Didn't
being the
realise
centre
she was here.
somewhere
I'm
else,
not going to
mate.
say why, because then it kind of singles her out. But she's all the way from Wales, and she's got good reason to be here. No one should be able to take away from a mother the right to breastfeed. And to do what they do to a family because a mum wants to breastfeed is immoral, and especially when it is a so-called medical professional that started that and has been a responsible hand that near enough cost that lady her life. Yeah?
Children's Act states it has to be sorted so they can...
She's come a long way, right? And if she can do it after what I've seen her go through, and if you can do it and I can do it, each of us can get through this. But we have now got to take the biggest stand of this generation since the Second World War. Otherwise, if we do not take this on board with what is going on, this is corporate. This is business. There is no denying it. To use whatever, if I am a criminal, then why am I not charged as one? Why am I not processed as one? Because clearly it wasn't a crime. I didn't commit a crime as a parent. I just tried to look after 3 children that were dependent on physically being supported and their mental well-being being met, whilst mum was struggling. Undiagnosed at the time as maybe having postnatal depression from God knows which pregnancy out of 3 pregnancies. But I can tell you this, I didn't know what she was going through until I was away from it. Anxiety is an animal, it's a monster. Depression is hard, but anxiety, what it does to a person, how it leaves a person, how it makes you socially awkward, how it isolates you, how you've got to come out of this shell near enough every day. It is relentless. Mums with, mainly mums with fibromyalgia. I've got symptoms of it. I've got many. Lady and mum here turn around and state them quite categorically. Yeah. One of my closest friends as well, in Westford-super-Mare. If you heard her experiences, you'd break down as well as breaking down on your own case.
That's why they don't want us to stay.
They don't want us speaking out exactly, because this is why they want you to believe the mainstream media BS. Look at that. You've only got to look online at the hands that are responsible for mainstream media companies. They're all interconnected. It's only a small number of individuals that own these prints, these newsprints. These lot are all tied in. They're all tied in with it. Right? They don't want us to speak. They don't want us. This was a test. What they were doing with the masks was a test. They're doing it again. All these spike numbers, suddenly, if we've got these spike numbers, we're losing so many people a day. Why are we not in a lockdown? Why are we not in a lockdown? But let's not get into the politics of all that. But it's a point. Because it's part of social testing. This is all a big test. It's a game as well, like chess. We're going to move on, people.
Yeah, my back's killing me.
My back's
Yeah, we've got to be mindful of the fact that some of our friends here have extra additional needs. I'm going to pass you back over to Billy. Anyone that gets to hear this, share the life out of it. If you really want something to change, let's start all doing whatever we can. Let's get out. Let's do this. Stand up. Stand up.
Let's make
Stand up for your
2022.
children's rights in your own. Thank you. God bless.
the best to say, oh God, oh God.
Right, guys, we're going to move on from here. We're going to go on to Leicester Square. We're going to raise a little bit of awareness in Leicester Square, and we'll finish off in Leicester Square. Right, if everyone's okay with that.
Jane! Jane!
So we're going to go on to Leicester Square.
So they've only got time to put dots first together. Yeah. And if they get that, then you're going to have problems. So that's why I've kind of been tough.
Thank you so much for always talking about it. You're amazing. Thank you. How did I miss you? I didn't see you.
See you next month. I'll speak to the group anyway. I thought we were
Right,
doing
so this is 2021, the 17th of December 2021. We had a nice little number with us today. Not a massive crowd, but we had a crowd today. And you know what? Thank you very much for everyone has attended, and the guy that's leaving now, Mark. God bless you, mate. Safe journeys.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas, and I'll speak to you later on, my friend. Right, so now 2022, let me tell you now, one of the aim we're planning is we're going to start aiming for adoption agencies and start raising the awareness on the adoption agencies' doorsteps. We're going to start going into them buildings, maybe going into the meetings, and we're going to do that in 2022. We're going to disrupt them that way. We're going to do everything we can next year to disrupt these scumbags, and we will come back here and we will all just sit in there one day and not move. You know, we can do that.
That's my idea, by the way.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. So, right, we're going to move on to Leicester Square. Right, we're going to do a little bit of awareness there in Leicester Square, raise the awareness there, and then, yeah, let's do this.
Well done, B. You just walked a bit slower this time because my legs are full.
Bill, just say thank you, Bill.
Seized up. Are you alright,
What's that?
by the way?
I'm alright.
You sure?
Yeah.
What did you say?
They were pretty brutal, weren't
Finish.
they?
Finish.